Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Soft Spot. It is a brisk, cold, freezing day outside today. So here in Soft Spot, it's a lot different. It's warm. It's relaxing. I have some spa music on. I'm listening to Sirius XM radio, and I put it on the spa channel. It's very relaxing, soothing, meditative. It allows you to escape from the stresses of the day. And as always, I'm sitting here in front of my pond / vivarium, which houses about 18 goldfish, 2 catfish, and I have Jake the snake who's in one unit, and within the next month I'll be housing another reptile in the rear unit. So this is upstairs in my office studio, and it's very relaxing. And again, I have a fish tank full of African cichlids. So this is what I do as part of my relaxing, create an environment that is a very relaxing and comfortable one, because we need that. You need a place in your home where you can go to and kind of let your hair down. I said kind of because I don't have much up there, and somewhere along the line it needs to be let down at any rate. So that's what I do. I'm also finishing up the front part of the 3rd floor in my home, which is actually going to be a meditation room, a meditation and prayer room specifically. That means there won't be any excuse me, electronic equipment in there other than a speaker for me to channel music, relaxing meditative music, as well as some Quran being played in there for me to be able to relax and get away from all of the other worldly things. We wrapped up our last session on part 2 of the trauma of parental separation, and one of the things that we mainly focused on last week had to do with more or less the child and the impact that the separation has on the child. So what we're going to do today is just pretty much focus on resolution, ways to heal, coping mechanisms that are going to be very important, especially during the initial stage of the separation. If you haven't had any dialogue at this point, and it's been more than, let's say, 6 months, if it's been more than 6 months and you haven't had this discussion yet regarding the healing process of the separation, then still you want to begin to have it. It's not too late to have it. It's never too late to have it. And oftentimes we tell ourselves that we have moved forward. Therefore, what is the point in going backwards? It's been long enough. The child already understands. The child already knows. I know. I'm in a new relationship now, so that's gone. No, it's not gone. And we need to stop thinking in the terms of something being over. Separation can go on for years because of the conflicts that we seem to have intermittently. And because we have them intermittently, we think we have actually moved forward. But we haven't. So one of the things that we need to look at is, where are we? Where are we, honestly, in this stage of the separation? And I say we have to first assess where we are, honestly, because if we're to help the child, we can't sit there and sugarcoat it. We can't be dishonest about it because it's going to show up. So if we look at I'm still angry and tell the child that I'm still angry, then the child can share the fact that they're angry and what they're angry about, why they're angry about the separation. If we say to the child that we're okay, that we're doing fine, and using the new relationship as the band-aid for being fine, but yet the child sees the same type of behaviors, the same conflicts between you and this new partner, well, there's something wrong here. Either you have a pattern of having unhealthy relationships, or you have truly not become okay with being away from the other parent. This is why it's so important that you're honest with yourself first. Children pick up on things. They're not I don't want to use the term stupid, but they're more aware and in tune with the environment than a lot of times we are with our own environments. So when we start looking at the impact, we start looking at the withdrawal, we start looking at the lashing out, we start looking at the isolation, we start looking at a new set of friends, friends that are not good for the child to be around. They start acting out in other ways: drugs, alcohol, smoking cigarettes, sex, just being with the wrong crowd, searching for their identity in another group of people, because that's what they begin to do, because they rely upon us for the development of their identity. They come into their own, but they start watching us and our behaviors and our characteristics, and they soak those things up like a sponge. Well, when the parents part ways, they have to do something to fill that void. They have to do something to fill that void. And a lot of times part of filling that void without having had any supports towards healing, they begin to fill those voids with the negative things that make them immediately feel good. Come on, we all do it. We all do it. When we're angry about something, what do? We want to feel good, and sometimes feeling good means breaking things. Sometimes feeling good means being with someone who you have avoided being with because of you trying to maintain some level of fidelity or innocence. Sometimes it also means going into places that you typically wouldn't go, but it allows you to kind of release some of that pent-up frustration and anger. And again, that goes back to letting your hair down, which is why it's important to learn how to let your hair down in a right venue where it doesn't have a negative outcome. So looking at all those things that are a detriment to healing, you have to begin to find a way to bring resolve to the unresolved within you and that which is in the child. So helping someone deal with emotional and psychological trauma takes work. That's the first thing we have to understand. It takes work. It takes work on your part. It takes work on the part of the other person as well. So whoever has the child has an increased level of responsibility, because they're the ones who are faced with the impact of the separation in a more intense manner. The visiting parent, and I say visiting parent because that's the person that when the child goes to see that parent, or when the child is out with that parent tends to get something different because I haven't seen you. So I'm glad to see you. And a lot of the time is spent or should be spent on bonding and enjoyment and having a pleasurable moment, as opposed to focusing on the negative things. So by the time the visit ends, you have not really had an opportunity, or maybe not even taken advantage of an opportunity to talk about the separation. But you can't always have a good time in life. Sometimes you have to confront things that are difficult in order for you to be able to have better times in the future of life. Which in many of our mindset is totally opposite. Because if we can avoid it and just have a good time right now, again, feeling good, then we won't confront it. So what begins to happen in this healing process is, the first thing is to be patient and understanding. Healing from emotional or psychological trauma takes time, which I've already stated. Be patient with the pace of recovery. And remember that everyone's response to trauma is different. Don't judge your loved one's reaction against your own response or anyone else's. Real important to understand here. Be patient with their pace of recovery. You ever hear people talk about, well, you know, your husband or your wife has been gone for years. Why are you still grieving over them? Why are you still talking about them like it was only yesterday? You should be past that. It's funny how people say that. It's funny how people say that. And they say it in the most insensitive manner. Because they think that they're being sincere in what it is they're saying, but they're being insensitive because they're not considering how you internalize that loss. They're not even internalizing how much you love that person. And that's for a variety of reasons, but it's irrelevant. But what is relevant is we have to understand that this takes time. And sometimes when we delve into doing more work or more things to avoid the pain and the sadness of separation, we don't have a chance to sit down and really feel it because we're trying not to feel it. So if I all of a sudden start taking on, you know, more job responsibilities, I start putting in more hours, am I really taking the time to process the separation? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm too tired. And the idea of it, to avoid it, is to work my behind off until I get home at the end of the day and pass out. That oblivious condition. You know, the act of trying to forget the pain of what has happened in my life. So I work harder. I work more. I indulge in other activities to keep my mind, to keep my mind off of the event. That's what I do. So for you to sit down and tell me that I should be at a certain place, well, you don't know where I'm at now in order to avoid it. Or maybe you are aware. Maybe you're the one who comes and knocks on my door and keeps taking me to the club every weekend, or keeps having me over your house so I can hear you talk about your drama, or get caught up in your theatrical life of, you know, has and has nots and the gossip and all that other stuff. Maybe that's your way of helping me, but you're not helping me confront it. But it's real important to understand that at some point in time, the person will get there, but it's not when you or anyone else says it. And don't allow people to move you through your grieving process any quicker. A therapist, a professional therapist can't even move you through the process any quicker than your will allows it. If you're not there, you're not there. The only thing that I can do as a therapist is to continue to allow you to talk about it, to work through certain things. And the more you talk about it, the more you start walking towards the separation. A lot of times when we begin to walk through the stages of healing, we first have to talk about that which the other person has put upon us. So perceived or fact, it doesn't make a difference. But that's usually what we do first. We start blaming. We make the other person responsible for why you feel the way you do. You start looking at all the things that have failed within that relationship and what has been lost. That's part of the walk. That's part of the walk. And as you continue to travel that path and to embark upon this journey, then you begin to see some things about yourself. And for a lot of people, that's the most painful and troubling aspect of healing, because you begin to realize that maybe you weren't ready for a new relationship because you hadn't healed from some previous things. You begin to realize that you made some bad decisions, and in making your bad decisions, maybe you impose some things upon that other person, which may have caused them to walk away. Maybe you begin to see some patterns in your life, that were a result of your childhood. There are a lot of things that begin to happen in this process of recovery. So patience is real important. Patient with yourself, and others need to be patient with those who are in that process. And more importantly, you have to be patient with the child. Again, always reminding everybody, remind myself as well, that that child has to go at whatever pace they need to go at to get to wherever they need to get. Period. And we need to be patient with that. The next aspect of helping someone deal with emotional, psychological trauma is to offer practical support. That may mean help them with collecting groceries or housework, for example, or simply being available to talk or listen. Sometimes when you go and visit, you don't have to sit there and always be the one talking. Sometimes you can just sit there with them, on the porch, in the rocking chair, just rocking back and forth, and enjoying the air, enjoying the sunshine. Silence is so critical and abused or misused. People need to hear something going on all the time. If you're a person who needs to always have some stimulation going on, some conversation or some music or something like that, well, it's going to be hard for you to be in this situation of allowing silence to be the most therapeutic tool in this healing process. Your presence alone, if you're a person who has a good, close relationship with the other person, your presence alone does a lot. Does a lot. Because at some point, when that person is ready, they're going to start talking. And if you're the answer man or woman, then it's not going to work. Just let them talk. And let them ask you questions. Let them ask you to help them with that. Let them ask you for your opinion. Let them ask you. Stop always offering opinions. Let's go to the market. You need to go to the market. Come on, let's go to the market. Come on, let's go to the market. Pick up some things, from the market. And we don't have to talk on the ride. You need to go to the market. You haven't been shopping. You need to get some food in this house. Okay? Doesn't mean that this is you create now. You're trying to create an opportunity for you to talk. No. You're trying to create an opportunity for them to talk. For them to talk. Let the silence be. Let it be. And you'll find out how powerful of a tool silence is. Help them do some dusting. Just come over and just do some dusting. Put on some one of your favorite meditative CDs or something. Again, just be quiet and just help with some of the responsibilities in the house. Absolutely not do I suggest let's sit down and let's have a couple drinks together. Absolutely not. I don't think that. If that's an invitation that you get from the person, fine. But to say, well, come on, let's go out and have a drink, or I'm on my way over and I got a bottle of wine. You got to be real careful with that. You got to be real careful with that, because sometimes that can be more harmful than anything else. Because you don't want to introduce alcohol as a healing tool, because it can be an escape, and then it can become problematic. So I wouldn't suggest that. If you're a person who drinks, if they're a person who drinks, I wouldn't suggest let's go out and have a drink. I wouldn't suggest that. Not when a person is in pain. Depending on where they're at, how far along this is, and you really want to look at what they're doing with their lives, how this separation has truly impacted their lives. Because if they're going through depression, then that's really not a good time to start talking about let's go have a drink. So be real careful. If you're not sure, go online. This information that I'm sharing with you comes off of the internet. It comes off the internet. That's what it's there for. I don't just go on Facebook and Twitter. It's there for a reason, and it's very powerful and significant information that you can find online that can help you through anything. Through anything. And people say, oh, well, you got to watch your sources. Yeah, but listen, you need to bring resolve to internal strife. How bad can it be to find that maybe this will work for you? Instead of wasting time and energy, oh, it should be by this author or that author. Come on now. Stop. You're killing people with that misinformation. I've already talked about don't pressure your loved one into talking, but be available when they want to talk. I've talked about that already. Again, just make yourself available. Hey, listen, just calling to check on you, saying, hey, I'm available if you need to talk. I'm home. Call me. If you're not doing anything this weekend, feel free to come over. The kids will be, over dad's. They'll be over mom's house. Feel free to come on over. I'll be here. Nothing deep. No pressure. But don't do it every day, all day. Give a person a couple days. You just call them. You don't have to call them every single day. Hey, I'm checking on you. Hey, I'm checking on you. Because just think for a minute how many other calls may be coming in. You have 8, 10, 12 people. Hey, 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 hey. And all day long, I stop checking my messages. Because I know there are 8 to 10 people on there who said, hey, I'm just checking on you. And you start really getting on a person's nerves. Because remember, I want to isolate. I don't want to talk to you people. I want to isolate. I'm going to crawl under a rock and just die. So the last thing I need is all of these calls coming in. I don't need all these calls coming in. Because I'll turn off my answering service, turn off my damn phone, and you'll never know anything. Then you'll be coming and knocking on my door, ringing my bell. Okay? Help your loved one to socialize and relax. Encourage them to participate in physical exercise. Let's go for a walk. When's the last time you've been to the gym? Come on, go to the gym with me. Just go walk up the block. Let's get out and get some air. Walk. Don't talk. Walk. Just want you to get some exercise. We don't need to talk about anything. Real simple. This coffee is really good. I like fresh ground coffee. Every morning, coffee is ground and put into a cup, man. And I get the Ethiopian blend from BJ's. They have this Ethiopian blend, and it's just wonderful. I think so far it's been probably the best coffee I've had. Starbucks is second. Starbucks is second. This Ethiopian blend, this fresh ground coffee is great. Seek out friends and pursue hobbies and other activities that bring them pleasure. That bring them pleasure. Again, being very careful, going out drinking, going out to eat, going shopping. Be very careful with those things, because you remember, when we begin to do pleasurable things on the heels of painful situations, those pleasurable things can become impediments to healing. They become disastrous. Because now I've formed an addiction. I just go shopping, and I shop all the time, and I eat all the time, and now I've got some other problems on top of the separation. So be very careful what activities you are suggesting. Be very careful. Remember, if you're going to pick something that's pleasurable for them, it may be something that's not a choice for you for pleasure.
90 seconds.
If you're a person who doesn't like to park, may not be a good idea. Well, no, it may be a good, it may be a good idea for you to, take the person to the park, but it may be a good idea to dress in a manner where you won't sit there with your skeevies worrying about things, calling up your legs, all the kind of stuff. But you want to not show it either, that you're not having such a comfortable time being out here, because the first thing you're going to think is, well, come on, I know you did this for me, you really don't want to be out here. So, make sure you're prepared. Spray off or whatever you need to do to go out there and make it a pleasurable moment for that person. So we're at the hour, the half hour it is, and I'd like to thank everyone again for tuning in to not just this show, but to all the other previous shows of Spot, Daddy's Right Here Live, for your views, the archive views, and for your constant support. Again, thank you for joining me at Spot. Be warned. Peace. God bless. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to add. Once you check out the Anthony Johnson Show on Blog Talk Radio on February the 7th, where I'll be his guest and I'll be talking about Daddy's Right Here, Words from the Wise, the Fatherhood Chronicles, as well as Code Black, my book that will be out in a couple of weeks. Again, peace.